Welcome to Police News TV. I'm your host, Jill Adrian. On today's broadcast, NYPD officer is shot point blank in the head and survives. Chicago police catch suspect in the station house ceiling. Big boobs blamed for bad DUI test performance. Convicted felon runs for sheriff. Woman stopped for speeding and has a baby. All that and more right here on episode number 3 of Police News TV, your source for national law enforcement news. By cops, for cops. This is Police News TV for the first week of February 2012. Our news anchor, Paul Baumer, is unable to join us today for our broadcast because he has pneumonia. We hope he is feeling better soon and will join us again next week. Our prayers go out to him for a speedy recovery. And now for our top news stories. NYPD officer shot in head by suspect. New York, New York. On January 31st, patrolman Kevin Brennan, age 29, a 6-year veteran of NYPD Brooklyn North Task Force, was shot in the base of the head. He is reported to be in critical but stable condition. Officer Brennan and 2 other plainclothes anti-crime officers responded to a public housing project on a shots fired call and observed 3 suspects running from the scene. A foot chase after one of the suspects ensued, with Officer Brennan leading 2 other officers, and continued into the housing building and eventually into an apartment. Brennan chased the suspect, identified as Luis Ortiz, into the apartment first, but the door slammed shut prior to the other officers being able to gain entry. Officer Brennan's 2 partners heard a gunshot from inside the apartment and seconds later were able to enter as well. The suspect was gone, but Officer Brennan was lying on the floor with a gunshot wound to the head. The .38 caliber revolver used in the shooting was later recovered, and about 3 hours later, Luis Baby Ortiz, age 31, was arrested. Cops say Ortiz was already wanted for questioning in the New Year's Day murder of a 34-year-old woman and has at least 14 prior arrests. For this incident involving Officer Brennan, Ortiz will be charged with attempted murder of a police officer. Convicted felon runs for sheriff in West Virginia. Charleston, West Virginia. Jerry Weaver, Lincoln County assessor for 25 years, was convicted in 2005 of conspiracy to buy votes. He spent a year in federal prison and 3 more on probation. Now, Weaver, 61, is legally considered a felon, but plans to run for the Lincoln County, West Virginia sheriff's job in this year's election. He said, "I'm not proud of my past, but it's there. I can't change it. I made a mistake. I've apologized to the people of Lincoln County more than once." According to the state constitution, people under conviction of treason, felony, or bribery in an election cannot run for public office. However, Weaver can run and could even be elected sheriff if no one challenges his candidacy in court, although he will not be allowed to carry a weapon without violating a state gun law. To this, Weaver has responded, "Most of the sheriffs I know, they never carried a weapon. I don't think that's the biggest part of being sheriff, carrying a gun. You've got your road deputies to take care of traffic stops and stuff like that." The current sheriff cannot run because of term limits. Weaver is running against 3 other Democrats, but does not believe the conviction will hurt his chances in this race. "I paid my debt to society." LAPD in joint military training in the skies of downtown LA. Los Angeles, California. The Los Angeles Police Department teamed with military special forces to conduct multi-agency tactical exercise in the skies above downtown LA. A Black Hawk helicopter and 4 OH-6 choppers, or Little Birds, hovered just above the U.S. Bank building downtown, later flying low over the Staples Center as the Lakers played inside. A Black Hawk was also spotted in the dark, making what appeared to be a drop-off at a park before quickly ascending back into the air. Throughout the exercise, the 5 rotorcrafts were staged at Dodger Stadium. LAPD said the purpose of the training was, in part, to ensure the military's ability to operate in urban environments. Chief Warrant Officer David Duran said whether in mountains, desert, coastal, or even urban environments, it's always best to get the closest terrain layout to what the objective is, whatever they might be facing in the near future. LAPD said training exercises would take place at various sites around the greater Los Angeles area through Thursday. The exercises were coordinated with local authorities and owners of the training sites. LAPD said safety precautions were taken to prevent risk to the general public, as well as the military personnel involved. 7 suspected in 5-state burglary investigation arrested. Putney, Vermont. A criminal gang has committed nearly 100 burglaries throughout 5 states in the last year. Of these burglaries, 60 were in Vermont, 30 in New Hampshire, and the remainder scattered throughout Maine, Massachusetts, and Virginia. These burglaries were primarily commercial smash and grabs in the early morning hours at places of business without alarm systems. A multi-state investigation was launched after members of law enforcement in Windham County, Vermont, noticed a pattern of similar burglaries this summer. This police agency teamwork led to the detention of 6 of the 7 members of the gang, announced February 6. 4 were arrested Saturday, and 2 were in custody in New Hampshire on unrelated charges. 4 of the men are from Vermont, and 2 are from New Hampshire. All of the suspects arrested are between the ages of 18 and 20. The 7th suspect, 21, is still at large. Chicago officers catch suspect in station stealing. Chicago, Illinois. Chicago police detectives were interviewing a murder suspect in a CPD Area 2 station interview room. As the suspect was alone in the interview room, detectives heard strange noises coming from the ceiling above. Officers discovered that their suspect had attempted to escape by scaling the interview room wall and entering the space above the drop-down ceiling. Moments later, the detectives located the escaping suspect in the ceiling above them. The escaping suspect broke several drop-down ceiling tiles, which caused about $350 in damage to the station. He was then arrested on the additional charges of attempted escape and criminal mischief. Woman gives birth in car after being pulled over for speeding. Waverly, Ohio. Last week, an Ohio state trooper was conducting radar along a stretch of highway when he clocked a vehicle traveling at 90 miles an hour. He pulled the vehicle over only to discover that the driver was rushing her daughter to the local hospital because she was in labor. The trooper released the group with a verbal warning and cautioned them to slow down. Well, moments later, the mother gave birth to the healthy baby girl in the backseat of the car prior to reaching the hospital. We can report the mother and baby are doing fine and they will not have to pay a speeding ticket. Big Boobs blamed for bad DUI test performance. Port St. Lucie, Florida. A Martin County Sheriff's deputy stopped Maureen Jane Raymond, age 49, on suspicion of DUI. Upon speaking with the operator, Raymond, the deputy noticed that she had slurred speech, glassy eyes, and had the odor of alcohol in her breath. So he began to administer a standard field sobriety test on Raymond, at which point she said, "You need to understand that I'm big-chested, and if you ask me to close my eyes and balance, I'm not going to be able to balance well." She continued to tell him that she had big breasts and they don't balance well. The deputy's police report stated that Raymond had problems following the verbal directions of the field sobriety tests. When it came to her performing the walk and turn test, Raymond stated, "I can't do it, not with my big boobies." She then reportedly began to take her clothes off to show the deputy her breast, at which point he had to immediately stop her from doing so. Raymond was arrested for DUI and later released on bond. Vermont inmates hide pig on official police car door decal. Montpelier, Vermont. Inmates working at the Vermont Correctional Industries print shop managed to alter the image on the official Vermont State Police Cruiser door logo 4 years ago. The prank image featuring a pig made it onto about 30 cruisers. It is unclear how long some of the decals have been on cruiser doors, but they went undetected until this week. The logo is about 16 inches high and should depict a spotted cow against a background of snowy mountains. However, in the inmate's modified version, one of the cow's spots has been changed into the shape of a pig. State Police Sergeant Michael Rodge, a traffic safety supervisor in southern Vermont, is credited with discovering the pig-shaped spot. Vermont State Police are now in the process of changing all the decals on the affected cars, which will cost taxpayers $780 plus additional fuel costs. An investigation has begun, but it is unclear whether the offending inmate is still in custody and whether any criminal charges can be filed. Public Safety Commissioner Keith Flynn, a former state trooper and state prosecutor, does not consider the pig epithet as offensive as it once was. "We can see the humor," he said. U.S. Attorney General says he and his agency is not covering up Fast and Furious details. Washington, D.C. In the ongoing congressional investigation of the Department of Justice over the failed Fast and Furious program from last year, Attorney General Holder vigorously denied his agency was not promptly releasing subpoena documents to Congress. The question of Holder by congressmen this week became heated at times, and one congressman even mentioned that Holder could be cited for contempt of Congress. All the subpoena documents are due to be presented to Congress on February 9th. In fact, one of the DOJ officials invoked his Fifth Amendment right not to answer any questions on the failed operation during his questioning by Congress. Additionally, the family of murdered Border Patrol agent Brian Terry has filed a $25 million civil lawsuit against the federal government. Agent Terry was murdered last year on the Mexican border by one of the guns released by the government as part of the ATF's Fast and Furious operation. In our police sports segment, we told you earlier about NYPD officer Kevin Brennan, who was shot in the head but who is recovering at Bellevue Hospital. Well, in the midst of all the preparation by the New York Giants football team for the Super Bowl, head coach Tom Coughlin took some time out to send a gift, his new book, A Team to Believe In, with a personal note to Officer Brennan. The inscription reads, "Kevin, we know this is a tough time right now. We wanted you to know you and your family are in our thoughts and prayers. Small gains, Kevin, one day at a time. Thanks for your service to our community. Go Giants. Tom Coughlin." Brennan is reported to have said upon receiving the inscribed book, "I didn't think I could be more of a Giants fan than I already was." We would like to wish Officer Brennan a quick recovery, and we thank Coach Tom Coughlin for his gracious act of support and kindness. All right, I might be the only Jets fan in the studio, but even I can get behind that. In our weekly segment featuring a worthy cause for law enforcement, former DARE student raises $12,000 for families of police fire killed on the job. St. Louis, Missouri. A 15-year-old girl named Jennifer Rubin attended her school-required DARE class when she was in 5th grade. So impressed with her DARE officer, Josh King of the Chesterfield, Missouri PD, she wanted to do something to give back to fallen policemen and firefighters. On her own, she came up with the idea to solicit charity money by rocking in a rocking chair for 10 hours straight. Only 12 years old at the time, Rubin was able to raise over $750 in 2009 at her first event. Since then, she has done the same charity event each year and now has raised over a total of $12,000. All the donations go to a charity called Backstoppers Incorporated, which benefits the families of police and firefighter paramedics who die in the line of duty. Jennifer is now a high school sophomore and has several other area students contributing to the charitable effort called Rockin' for Relief. We would like to thank Jennifer and all her friends for coming up with this fantastic idea and supporting first responders in her community. In the training calendar, with the advent of more numerous and more serious youth violence across the United States, law enforcement must understand the rapidly growing problem. Well, on March 2, 2012, there will be an Urban Youth Violence Conference held at the Allstate Center at St. Petersburg College in Florida. This one-day conference has several presenters on the topic. The keynote speaker is Dr. Kathleen Hyde, who is a nationally recognized expert in homicidal children. She's a licensed psychotherapist, University of South Florida professor of criminology, and author. Hyde studies violence in children, has evaluated hundreds of troubled kids, and has testified in court many times. Hyde is the author of 2 widely acclaimed books on juvenile homicide. She is a consultant to the National Institute of Justice and the National Institute of Health. Go to their website, spcollege.edu/youthviolence for more information. In our Dumb Criminals segment, man accused of driving Zamboni drunk, Apple Valley, Minnesota. Who knew the expression "keep it between the lines" might actually mean keep it between the blue lines? It did for a 34-year-old man arrested Monday night after allegedly driving a Zamboni drunk at a hockey game in Minnesota. Authorities were called to Hayes Arena in Apple Valley by people at the arena who reported that the Zamboni driver appeared to be drunk. The coaches noticed he was off the mark quite a ways, bumping into the boards and having trouble maneuvering the machine, and thought they needed to call someone for help, said Randy Johnson, Apple Valley's Parks and Rec Department director. They knew something was wrong. He was not operating it like he normally does. When authorities arrived, they saw that the driver, Joel Keith Bruss of Apple Valley, was struggling to maneuver the Zamboni around the ice. Officers made contact with Bruss, a part-time employee at the arena, after the Zamboni came off the ice. According to authorities, Bruss was unsteady on his feet and smelled of alcohol. After field sobriety testing, he was arrested for DWI. A check of Bruss's criminal background shows that he's been found guilty of at least 3 previous drunk driving charges, one DUI in 2002 and another 2 in 1999, as well as minor consumption in 1998. Bruss has been suspended from his position. One man at the arena observed, "He just couldn't drive a straight line." We here at Police News TV would like to thank you for watching. You can watch or listen to our daily news broadcast on your large HD TV, your laptop, your tablet computer, smartphone, or MP3 player. Your Police News TV anytime and anywhere, because here at Police News TV, we've got you covered. Also, you can like us on Facebook, watch and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and follow us on Twitter. We have many other ways to watch and listen to this broadcast, so go to our website, PoliceNewsTV.com, to find out how. If you wish to give us feedback or submit a news story, you can email us at contact@PoliceNewsTV.com or call us at 727-437-2207. We value your input. This show is dedicated to Mobile Police Department Officer Stephen Green and recovering NYPD Officer Kevin Brennan. Let's keep them and their families in our prayers. So until next time, to all my brothers and sisters in blue out there, stay safe and see you next time on Police News TV, where we got you covered.
All right, that's it. Let's roll. And hey! Let's be careful out there.